Floyd Mayweather accepts the Ryan Garcia fight for Gervonta Davis as an offer, with the exception of the fight happening at 135. Okay. So this is what Floyd Mayweather said on Fight Hype. That's exactly what he said. He said that. He was speaking about Leo Santa Cruz and the WBA situation. He was speaking about a vast array of subjects. I'm going to show y'all the clip of the Ryan Garcia thing where he brought that up here.
We know Tank fight at 135. So if you want to fight Tank at 135, we can make it happen before the end of the year. Truthfully speaking, we can make the fight happen.
All right, as y'all heard yourselves, right? This fight is a possibility. This fight isn't something that will never happen. This fight is seen as something that's a potential, but with the exception of the 140 weight class. Floyd Mayweather considers Gervonta Davis a 135 fighter, and Ryan Garcia is no longer a 135 fighter. He's made that official to himself. So I'm curious, would Ryan Garcia willingly go down a weight class to fight against a Gervonta Davis? I'm sure he would. Why wouldn't he? Gervonta Davis is a very trendy fight, and if he's so confident in his belief to winning this matchup, I'm sure he would do well against that type of opponent. Now, the thing is, though, it would drain him. It would drain him a bit. It would drain him from his peak condition and peak form compared to typical things. Like it would deplete him of what he has at 140 because he said he felt more refreshed at this weight class. He didn't feel as refreshed at 135. He felt more stringy and more gassed because he was dehydrating himself more and more. And when you dehydrate yourself in the sport of boxing, in a place where you can get brain trauma from simple punches, it's unhealthy to drain yourself to make a weight because it can mess with your cognitive abilities, which is why boxing is such a dangerous sport. You know, that's another reason why same-day weigh-ins were banned and were a day before weigh-ins, because with same-day weigh-ins, the fight day would happen when the person's very dehydrated, whether if they hydrate hours later or not. So therefore, they were more likely to have brain damage as a result. This whole festive stuff now, when it comes to whether negotiations would go on each side, look, this is how I feel, right? Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Now, I understand Ryan Garcia has the more Instagram followers and Gervonta Davis does not. It could be an ongoing debate to determine whether who's the bigger draw or not, but whether if you're seen as the more mainstream of the two, it really depends on who sells more in the boxing realm. Because even if you have a lot of Instagram followers, do you actually sell fights? Ryan Garcia managed to get 17,000 seats down. Wow, you know, every time a Gervonta Davis fight happens, he sells out arenas in comparison. And he is the more educated of the pay-per-view. I am unsure about Ryan Garcia's pay-per-view capabilities and being able to really sell a good pay-per-view by himself. It's impressive. It's impressive for how well Gervonta Davis's pay-per-view has been, despite his lack of opposition and lack of competitive and mainstream opposition. The Isaac Cruz fight is a prime example. Isaac Cruz was a fighter who, I'm pretty sure that fight did like 100, 200,000 pay-per-view, which is good, which is pretty good for a virtually unknown fighter like an Isaac Cruz. And that fight ended up being a lot more competitive than people initially anticipated or thought. And I'm pretty sure they sold out the arena for Rolly Romero, but I feel as though it was Rolly Romero who sold the fight and was talking so much garbage just to get knocked out and look absolutely confused when he was on the ropes down. It's just a problem with the sales though, man. They are mad expensive. That's what PBC and Showtime does usually. They have Mad expensive pay-per-view sales, man. Super ones. Super pay-per-view sales. Inflation's going up like crazy. Inflation is going up like crazy. Inflation's everything nowadays, really. As much as pay-per-views go higher, as much as everything else does. I swear, man, PBC would put a $75 pay-per-view for a fight which consisted of two fighters who were virtually unknown and still put it on pay-per-view in the first place. That's how they work. That's how they operate. Which is something I kind of don't understand, because you're less likely to invite viewers to actually watch the fight if you make everything for pay-per-view. People are just more likely to illegally stream it, I guess. If you broadcast fights like that on, normal TV, you may actually have the potential to getting more fans invested into the fighter because it's on a random occasion where they see them. There's been a time in my life where I was younger and there were fights on normal TV that I've seen and thought, hey, who is that guy? I wonder what his name is. I'm going to search him up. That's happened before, thanks to the fight not being pay to see. It's interesting that Floyd Mayweather said this, because he's usually the type of person to say that, him and Davis are good. He's good with us. These other fighters don't really matter. He's good with us. As long as he stays with us, he's going to be good and comfortable. Does he believe in his fighter? It sounds like to me he does, but he also doesn't. I don't know. I feel like Davis in his last fights I feel like Davis in his previous fights, he's just been struggling. He's been struggling with the opposition that he's had. And he's been having a hard time winning rounds. He had a hard time winning rounds against Rolly Romero. Now, he was trying to figure Rolly Romero out, just land one punch to win the fight already, but we saw those scorecards. And he had a really hard time against Isaac Cruz. Against Mario Barrios, people do say that he had a tough time with Mario Barrios, but in my opinion, I kind of feel like he didn't really struggle that much in that Mario Barrios fight. I think the fight was an illusion. I don't think that fight was that close. I thought that fight was pretty one-sided, in my opinion. I had Tank winning most of the rounds. He seemed like he had the most eye-catching punches. He seemed to have the most effective shots. And Barrios' jab wasn't that effective. And the Leo Santa Cruz fight, that was a good one too. That was a good fight. It happened like on a Halloween or something. Yeah, it happened on Halloween. That was a scary ass knockout. Put Leo Santa Cruz to sleep, man. Dang. I remember when that fight came on YouTube because I fell asleep before it actually happened. I remember watching that fight, and I remember looking at the knockout. I was like, oh goodness. He's like, Davis is a crazy uppercut. A very strong one. And that was after Leo Santa Cruz was punching flurries at Davis. He was punching flurries at him just for Davis to just be like that seemed like a pretty good fight. And the scorecards are close for that one. In comparison to, Ryan Garcia or these other fighters, Ryan Garcia hasn't had a close scorecard in a long time. He ain't had one. He ain't had one, man. He ain't had no close scorecard. As much as people can say, oh, he got dropped, he almost lost, he almost did all this shit. That don't matter. Those scorecards, even against Luke Campbell, even if he still got dropped, those scorecards are not close against Luke Campbell. He was outboxing Luke Campbell comprehensively. He was outboxing Javier Fortuna comprehensively. He was outboxing Emmanuel Tago comprehensively. He was outboxing his opposition comprehensively. And that really says a lot. So is Floyd really about to smoke though? Is he gonna put his fighter at risk like that? Because any wrong move, Gervonta Davis could end up like the next Adrian Broner. That's probably why he's so isolated now with his fighter. Broner was his first project, but it unfortunately failed. So he has a more talented fighter with Davis. He's a way more talented fighter. He's more light on his feet. He's more of an educated boxer. He's just better all around. In my opinion, he's better all around, and he doesn't fake a style. He doesn't fake the shoulder roll. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do a mockery of the shoulder roll without understanding the science either. So that didn't stunt his growth in his career. What will stunt his growth is if he doesn't fight good enough opposition. You know, how is he going to be seen? How is he going to be seen as a legend in his future if his resume isn't stacked to what it should be? He's about to be most of his belts and most of his time. He has 2 belts, and I think he's a 4-weight division champion, right? 2 of his weight division belts are lesser titles. He could almost be like a 5-weight lesser belt WBA champion. Like, that would be like super disappointing. And as for Ryan Garcia, I hope Ryan Garcia is willing to move down to 135, or Tank is willing to move up to 140 to make that fight happen, because I would love to see it. I think it would be a great fight. So let me know how y'all feel in the comment section. Let me know if y'all think the fight will be good or not. Just let me know anything. All right. Thanks for watching. Please hit the notification bell. Bye.